Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Bangladesh in Crisis, our series that has been looking in depth at the situation in Bangladesh. Last week we looked at a very interesting report about the garments industry, and tonight to discuss all the developments that's been going on there we have in the studio Basher Ahmed from the Bangladeshi Chamber of Commerce, and also with us is John Hilary, who is the Executive Director of the charity War on Want. Welcome to you both. Thank you for joining us. British Bangladeshi Chamber of Commerce, I should say, actually. Before we get into our main discussion, here's Yasmin Khatun with the latest news.
Over the weekend, Bangladesh's ruling party suffered another blow as a result of city corporation elections held in Ghazipur. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party candidate M.A. Manan won by a massive margin, defeating the Awami League-nominated Azmat Ullah Khan. Ghazipur is the second largest city corporation in the country. In other news, following the suspension of the GSP, the Generalized System of Preference by the USA, Japan has announced that they will not be cutting any of their trade with Bangladesh. Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto has also emphasized more trade cooperation between the two countries. This comes as Japanese brand Uniqlo opened 2 stores in the country and hope to have a great impact.
Bangladesh is basically a very attractive market for us because we have a lot of partner factories in these countries. And we started social business because we like to solve the social problems in Bangladesh, and we experienced for 2 years, and now we like to open our Grameen Uniqlo shops in Dhaka.
In a tie-up with Bangladesh's Grameen Bank, the company is investing £3 million, describing it as a social business adventure. Following the factory collapse in April, 75 different retail brands have signed up to an accord to ensure better safety standards and practice in factories in Bangladesh. Yasmin Khatun, reporting for Islam Channel, Bangladesh in Crisis.
John, if I can come straight to you, a social business adventure, that's what they're calling it. The Uniqlo has opened 2 stores, Japan and Mexico, all behind Bangladesh. Is the crisis over?
I don't think the crisis is over, but I do think these are good steps in the right direction. I think it's important that countries like Mexico, Japan, and also the European Union stay with Bangladesh, that they unite with the workers in Bangladesh to try to find a way forward. And I don't think what the US has done is particularly helpful in that respect. I was actually in Brussels just 2 weeks ago discussing with people in the European Commission about whether or not to withdraw Bangladesh's trade preferences. And they said they had no intention of doing so, and we completely support that. I think it would be completely wrong to put sanctions on Bangladesh for this disaster.
Mr. Ahmed, if I can come to you now, that's actually quite a positive move to have all these countries backing Bangladesh at a time when America very clearly said it wouldn't go any further, isn't it?
Yes, we are very much disappointed with the American decision. Although it will not affect economically very much, because volume of 5 billion garment export to America is only 26 to 27 million is the GSP, but it definitely will affect the image of Bangladesh. And it's really sad that Americans took this decision. They should not leave Bangladeshi garment workers of 4 million people like this. They should provide the opportunity to change, like a European EU Commission just decided in Geneva yesterday, that giving the Bangladesh a chance to rectify themselves and improve the health and safety regulation
and of course, this came after Bangladesh pledged to look into worker safety more and to increase the inspectorate for up to 800 new members or something like that, isn't it? Is that likely to happen? Is that likely to be a positive change for Bangladesh? Will all of these steps be actually carried forward?
I think so, and also from the news piece, the signing of this accord with lots of the retails and brands all signed up to it is an incredibly important step forward. Up until now, a lot of the Western high street retailers have sort of washed their hands of the problem and said, we've outsourced all of the production, so we're outsourcing the responsibility as well.
But we do focus on the big names, don't we? Like the names that we know on the high street. Are there sort of smaller retailers who also play a part in this?
There are, and I think what's useful is that a lot of them have been brought around the table together, and not just the Western retailers, but the Bangladesh government, the BGMEA, the Manufacturers and Exporters Association in Bangladesh, the trade unions, which is so important to have the workers' voice represented, and NGOs. The fact that this has actually brought together such a lot of different actors is a very important step.
I want to ask about the trade unions. How powerful are they and how much influence do they have in Bangladesh?
Well, unfortunately, it's true that even government worker till now, till today, they are not able to form, not allowed to form a union activities. That's very sad. And the European Union, of course, in Geneva yesterday, did mention that they are allowed to form negotiated arrangement with the owner of the factories. But the most important for all of us to know that Bangladesh... But it kind of
defeats the purpose. If you have to have the owner of the factory there for the negotiations, that's not really what a union is about, is it?
Well, they have a right to negotiate their welfare with the owners and BGMG, but till today, till now, those facilities was not existing in Bangladesh. But most important for all of us to know as well that the 5,500 RMG factories in Bangladesh, 50% of them actually on rented property. So they cannot change if they wanted to. It's not possible to change in overnight the health and safety regulation. We should provide a time frame for them, which European Union are doing. That is the best way forward, I believe. Yes.
Under the Accord, you're right, Bashir. I think under the Accord, there's 9 months is the period that they're giving for the first round of inspections, which are going to identify the problems in terms of health and safety, building security, fire exits and things like that. So they are doing this over a period of time starting now.
And also wage need to be discussed very seriously. The Bangladeshi worker is receiving $48 to $50 a month, where Chinese worker is receiving $700 US a month. The margin of this is huge, and it's unbelievable is existing. So I think
who does that pressure need to come from? Is it the government of Bangladesh that needs to say this? Is it the workers themselves that need to say, you know, increase our wages? Where does that pressure come from?
I think it's a collective effort needed from consumer to the buyers, the designers, Bangladesh government, and also the garments union, and of course from the labor. It's a collective effort needed to change that atmosphere, and I think it's in the right direction.
Okay. Well, last week we did learn more about the Bangladeshi government's industry and the changes that have been taking place as a result of that famous Rana Plaza collapse. Here's more on those developments.
As the week begins, Japan, amidst others, iterated their support and encouragement for development in Bangladeshi industry. This comes in light of developments last week when the US announced the cutting of long-term trade benefits in the country. Bangladeshi factory owners have said they feel cautious about the impact of the move.
Right now, it doesn't have so much of economic impact because we only export $50 million under the GSP facility. But the perception or the views that will be taken over by the buyers all over the world, by the policymakers all over the world, by the facilitators who gives us these duty-frees all over the world from different countries has got tremendous value.
The move from the US was in light of safety standards and worry over workers' rights in the country. In April, the country witnessed the worst modern-day industrial disaster, leading to the loss of over 1,000 lives. In moves to assist development in the country, international businesses are now working together to try and meet a higher standard of safety and solve the problems within the industry. A coalition of trade unions and predominantly European clothing retailers agreed to a legally binding plan to ensure better safety standards. Unveiled on Monday, it will guarantee that in every case where unsafe conditions are found, funds will be made available for necessary safety upgrades. American firms have reportedly been found reluctant to join any industry accord that creates legally binding objectives, and only 3 US retailers have signed up to the plan. The small number of US signatories will disappoint advocates hoping for an end in dangerous conditions in Bangladesh's multi-million-pound garment industry. The accord comes with high hopes, but its enforcement will only be seen with time.
Well, there we